All right, so we're back and ready for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be looking at something I find super fascinating.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Cryptocurrency scams, and more specifically, the rug pull,
A rug pull, yeah.
which, I mean, the name itself kind of says it all. We're talking millions of dollars vanishing overnight, and
It's wild, right?
like
And to help
it's,
us break it all down, we've got a really interesting YouTube video we're going to be looking at today from a channel called United Public Servant Awareness.
ah,
Yeah. Trafficked Crypto Cam 4K. And the really cool thing about this video is it features interviews with not just the scammers themselves,
right.
but victims and even law enforcement.
Yeah, it really gives you the full picture.
So we're going behind the scenes, getting into the psychology of these elaborate scams.
Hmm.
And trust me, there's some serious cognitive dissonance going on here. So strap in and get ready for a wild ride.
It's going to be a fascinating look into the world of decentralized finance, which, let me tell you, it's often described as the Wild West out there.
Yeah.
Lack of regulation, it's a scammer's paradise.
So yeah, let's dive in. Okay, so first things first. What exactly is a rug pull? For those who are maybe new to this world, break it down for us. How does this scam actually work?
Well, the video does a fantastic job explaining it using this clever little margarita analogy.
Okay, a margarita. I like where this is going.
So picture this. You've got a margarita glass. This represents a brand new cryptocurrency token.
Gotcha.
The stammers, think of them as mixologists in this scenario, right? They fill up the glass with their own tokens, which they got for super cheap before everyone else. Like, think of this as the tequila.
Okay, so they're starting with a full glass, but it's not quite the finished product yet.
Exactly. Now comes the fun part. They start pouring in all the good stuff. You know, your triple sec, your lime juice, that's the hype they create. They go hard on social media. They get influencers to shill it. Sometimes even, some celebrities get paid to endorse it.
Right, so they're creating this buzz, this excitement, attracting all these investors,
Yeah.
driving up that price, right?
Right. Precisely.
Mhm.
So more and more investors buy in. They see this like irresistible margarita, right? And they want to sip. Price keeps going up and up. But here's the catch, right?
Oh no, I have a feeling I know where this is going.
Just when that hype reaches its peak, the glass is almost full, they pull the rug.
Meaning they run off with everyone's money?
Exactly. They dump all their tokens. Remember that tequila from the beginning? That causes the price to absolutely plummet.
Oh man.
Glass is empty. Investors are left with, well, I guess you could say lime wedges, which are now completely worthless.
Ouch, talk about a sour taste.
It's brutal. It's essentially a digital version of that classic pump and dump scheme.
Yeah.
They inflate the price artificially and then crash it for their own profit.
That's rough. I see why it's called a rug pull, because that's got to be a harsh landing. But this video goes even deeper, right? It actually lets us meet these scammers.
Yeah, it does. We get introduced to this guy, Mr. X, and his crew. Bunch of young guys living it up in Dubai.
Like extravagantly.
Oh, yeah. Multiple luxury villas, $500,000 car, just dripping in jewelry.
Yeah, that's the part that really got me, the amount of jewelry. They said they were wearing like $250,000 worth of jewelry at any given time. That's just mind-blowing to me. But why? Why is all this outward wealth such a big part of their scheme?
Well, it's a powerful tactic psychologically. By showing off all that wealth, it creates this image of like success, legitimacy, like it's almost like a peacock flashing its feathers. Look how rich we are. Join us, and you too can have all this.
Right, so it kind of creates this allure, especially for people new to the crypto world. They might be more susceptible to that kind of thing.
Absolutely. It plays into that desire for quick riches and fosters a sense of trust, which, can be really dangerous in this space.
Yeah, I can see that. Talk about fake it till you make it, but with like real world consequences. And
Mhm.
for the victims of these scams, the consequences are incredibly real. The video even shares this truly heartbreaking story about one individual who tragically committed suicide after losing everything in a rug pull.
Yeah, that part was really tough to watch. It's a stark reminder of the human cost of these scams. It's not just numbers on a screen, right?
Definitely not. And what really struck me was how Mr. X and his crew seemed, I don't know, almost detached from the suffering they were causing.
Detached, yeah. They had all these justifications, blaming the victims for not doing their research, saying
Mhm.
it's all just part of the game. That disconnect between their lavish lifestyle and the pain they inflict, that's what I found the most disturbing, honestly.
Yeah, I get that. It's hard to wrap your head around how they can live with themselves knowing they're profiting off the losses of others. Their disregard for the victims is just, it's disheartening.
It really is, and it raises a big question, right? Like, what motivates someone to become a rug pull scammer in the first place? Is it just pure greed? Or is there something more to it?
That's a great question. It seems like there's got to be more to this story than meets the eye.
Yeah, I think it's a whole mix of things, the promise of getting rich quick, the fact that everything's online so they can stay anonymous, and maybe, just maybe, it lets them feel disconnected from, like, the real world consequences of what they're doing.
Yeah, I get that. It's kind of scary to think someone can cause so much harm and feel so removed from it all. Speaking of harm, the video also talks about the role of influencers in all of this. So how do they fit into these rug pull schemes?
Well, often influencers are kind of like unwitting pawns in the game, right? They have these huge followings, and scammers use that to build hype around a
You're
token.
right, people trust their recommendations.
Exactly. Remember that whole thing with Kim Kardashian? Paid a huge fine for promoting a crypto thing without saying she was financially tied to it.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
I think it was a wake-up call for a lot of people, that everyone realized just how blurry the lines are between a real endorsement and a paid promotion in the crypto world.
Definitely. Makes you wonder about responsibility, too. Like, do influencers have a duty to, I don't know, really check out the projects they're promoting? Or are they just messengers?
It's tough, right?
Because on the one hand, they're getting paid, so they obviously benefit if the project does well.
Right, right.
But on the other hand, they might not know enough about the tech stuff to really understand the risks.
Yeah, it's a gray area for sure. And then you throw in FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Scammers play on that, create this urgency like, get in now, W, before the price explodes.
And that, combined with an influencer saying, hey, this is the next big thing, can lead to some really impulsive decisions.
It's a recipe for disaster, especially for those who aren't as familiar with the crypto landscape.
It's like a digital gold rush everyone wants in before it's too late.
Which is why, like you said, doing your own research is absolutely crucial.
Oh, absolutely. DYR, right.
Oh my God.
Do your own research. It's kind of a mantra in the crypto community.
Okay, so don't just blindly trust someone, even if they seem legit. Exactly. You got to dig deeper. Look into the team, their history, the tech they're using.
So basically, look beyond the hype and really understand what's going on under the hood.
Exactly. And be on the lookout for red flags. If something promises you'll get rich quick with almost no effort, be suspicious. If the team's anonymous or their backgrounds are sketchy, proceed with caution.
So be a smart consumer, just like with anything else.
Exactly. But the thing with crypto is things move so fast. There are constantly new projects popping up. It can feel overwhelming.
It is. It's like drinking from a fire hose.
And that's why scammers love it. They know people are bombarded with information. They use that FOMO, that desire to get rich quick.
So it's kind of like a perfect storm for them.
Huh?
But it's not just about individual responsibility, right? The video also talks about what law enforcement is doing to fight back against these scams.
Yeah, and it's tough for them. The decentralized nature of cryptocurrency makes it really hard to track the money and find the people behind it.
Right, like trying to chase ghosts through the internet.
Seriously, you've got people from different countries working across borders, using tech specifically designed to hide their tracks.
So law enforcement is playing catch up.
They are, but they're making progress, The video mentions that big Bitcoin bust, the largest one in U.S. history.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Connected to that hack from way back, shows that even in the decentralized world, justice can prevail.
It's encouraging, but like you said, these investigations take time. So in the meantime, what can regular people do to protect themselves? Besides DYOR, of course.
There's a bunch of things, from simple common sense stuff to more technical approaches.
Okay, let's start with the basics. What are some simple steps anyone can take?
Well, first off, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. That's rule number one.
Good advice.
Be careful with projects that guarantee you'll make a ton of money or use really hyped up language. Another thing is start small. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, especially with new projects. Think of it like venture capital, high risk, high reward.
So dip your toes in before you jump in headfirst. What about those more technical approaches? Any tools or resources that can help people check if a project is legit?
Absolutely. There are websites that track crypto projects and flag any suspicious activity. You can even learn to analyze the code yourself, look for signs of a rug pull.
Analyze code. That sounds intense.
It can be, but there are resources out there that can help, even if you're not a tech expert. Remember, knowledge is power, especially in the crypto world.
So basically, the more you know, the better equipped you are to spot those risks.
Exactly.
So it's about empowering yourself, being in control of your own finances. But even with all the precautions in the world, some people are still going to fall victim to these scams.
Yeah, that's the sad truth, which is why it's so important to have a support system. If you do get scammed, Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are online communities and organizations that can help you report the crime and try to get your money back.
Right? It's important to remember you're not alone in this. And it's not just about the money either, right? These scams can really mess with people's heads. The video talks about the emotional toll, the feelings of betrayal and shame.
Yeah, it's a trauma, and it can be really hard to deal with.
It's a good reminder that behind all the tech and the numbers, there are real people being hurt. Which brings us back to Mr. X and his crew. The video ends on such a strange note, with them talking about doing charity work in Central America.
Yeah, talk about a weird twist. One minute they're bragging about their fancy cars and all that. The next they're talking about helping people in need.
It's like, what?
Right. It's hard to square those two things.
Do you think maybe they're trying to change their image? Or could this actually be, like, genuine?
It's hard to say. The video leaves it open-ended.
So we're left wondering what their real motivations are.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating, right?
Definitely. It's not just a clear-cut story. It makes you think critically, question things, and face the fact that there's a lot of gray area in this world.
It's a reminder that crypto, for all its potential, is still driven by human nature, with all its flaws.
And sometimes those flaws can lead to some pretty messed up stuff. Yeah, it's like they're trying to buy a clean conscience. But can you really do that? Can a good deed erase all the bad stuff you've done?
It's a really interesting question. And it feels especially relevant in the crypto world where, like, fortunes can change so
Well,
quickly.
it's almost like the rules are different there.
Yeah, people see it as the space where traditional morals don't apply. And this whole thing with Mr. X and his crew, it kind of throws that right in your face.
And the video doesn't really give us an answer about their charity work, does it? Like, are they for real? We're left guessing.
It is open-ended, and I think that's what makes this deep dive so thought-provoking.
I agree. It's not just a story with a beginning, middle, and end. It makes you think critically about everything.
Right. It forces you to confront the complexities of, like, human behavior and the ethical dilemmas of this whole new world.
It's like a reminder that crypto, for all its tech and potential, it's still a human story at its core.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a story filled with all the same stuff that's always driven us, the good and the bad. Greed, ambition, the desire to create something new.
But also the potential for exploitation and, well, just plain evil. So, after going through all this, what's the main takeaway? What should people keep in mind after this deep dive?
Well, I think the big one is be vigilant, be informed. The crypto world is still like the Wild West out there, and you gotta approach it carefully.
Don't let your guard down, do your research, and don't fall for those get-rich-quick promises.
Yeah, don't let greed or FOMO cloud your judgment. It's about empowering yourself, taking control of your own decisions.
Because ultimately, the technology itself isn't good or bad. It's how people use it.
That's the key. We have the power to shape how this technology evolves.
Whether it becomes a tool for good or, well, something much darker.
So yeah, it's not just about understanding the tech, it's about understanding ourselves, our motivations, our weaknesses, all of it.
What are we capable of, both the good and the bad?
I think that's a good place to leave it. The story of cryptocurrency is still being written, and we're all part of it now.
Let's try to make it a story worth telling, right?
I like that. A story that reflects the best of humanity, not the worst.
So to everyone listening, keep learning, keep questioning, keep digging deeper. The crypto world is full of both amazing opportunities and dangerous traps.
Stay informed, stay vigilant, stay curious.
And until next time,
Happy diving!